What is up, everyone? It's Ryan Moran and Ryan Gallagher here on R&R Talking Football. One day after Super Bowl 56, we're going in depth with the recap tonight, following a great game in which the Los Angeles Rams were crowned champions after another thrilling comeback victory led by Matthew Stafford and Cooper Cup, and just really recap, the playoffs in general. I mean, what a awesome last 3 weeks all rounds were, and last night, I mean, was exactly what we all could ask for as fans.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of weeks have been really, really good games, entertaining. Obviously, this one was no different. Came down to the final drive yet again, and it was very close to being overtime. But anyway, congratulations to the Rams. I think both of us picked them. I was rooting for them. I was pretty neutral in this, but I wanted Stafford and the Rams to win, so that's where I was kind of edging. I was rooting for them during their last drive, and even to get a stop, I can't lie. But at the same time, I wouldn't have been upset if the Bengals had marched up the field and scored. But just to get into the game, the Rams kind of came out hot. Obviously, Stafford was I think 9 for 10, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. Everything was going well, and Beckham unfortunately non-contact tore his ACL, the same one with Cleveland. And I think that might have saved the game for the Bengals. I think the Rams are going to go up big, and I said they were going to win by 10. I think that's where it was heading. Obviously, we'll never know, but the game changed dramatically. After that, there was basically no offense from the Rams from the middle of the second quarter to the very last drive in the game, which they needed. And a credit to the Rams defense. I think that's kind of going under the radar. Raheem Morris made halftime adjustments, and he essentially shut the Bengals out the entire second half, outside of one touchdown that should not have been a touchdown because there was no flag on the play. But this incredible adjustment, and the Rams defense really, really came to play with the pass rush in the second half, and obviously they got the job done.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it with the really both the defenses in this game were pretty impressive with the Rams. 2 weeks in a row in which late in the game, Aaron Donald and Bob Miller just were unleashed and were basically unblockable. Ashawn Robinson against the run was very impactful. Leonard Floyd and Greg Gaines continued to do some good things. Then, in the back end, obviously, Jaylen Ramsey, I mean, well, you alluded to it. I mean, it was really, a bang bang play on the touchdown that should have been flagged. And the play to Chase was just a great play by Chase. I mean, Ramsey was in great position. You had Eric Weddle out there playing through an injury. I mean, just how awesome it is for him to win a championship. And then the Bengals defense, I mean, really absolutely shut out the Rams running game. Their front four just continued to be successful. You do wish they could have generated a little bit more of a pass rush, I think, in certain situations. But their back end, once again, held up well, I feel like, for the most part, until the end with Cooper Cup. And you said it with that fast start Stafford had. Like, him and Burrow, I feel like both did a good job of taking what was there. I mean, both of these defenses really rely on their fronts because they're so talented with their front four, to the point where you can't drive down the field a ton. I feel like they were both really, really smart with their decision making. I mean, the two Stafford interceptions were really bang bang plays. The one off of Skoronek's hands. The other one, was it a third down when he threw it to Bates? So it was almost like a punt.
It was a punt. It was like third and
Yeah.
14. They weren't in field goal range. Like people get too caught up in the box score. Like just watch the game and don't let that's a punt. Like
The stat sheet doesn't always dictate what
yeah.
really happened. And, the Rams obviously had no running game, and I was nervous they weren't going to have a chance of scoring in the second half. I mean, you said it from the time Odell went out. Obviously, the turf is just you don't like to see those injuries, and not having Tyler Higbee, not having Robert Woods definitely impacted them. I feel like the Bengals did what they could to take up away, but when it mattered most, I mean, they couldn't stop them. They probably almost should have had two guys on them at the end there. For the game winner, and just kudos to Stafford. I mean, 3 straight weeks of awesome game winning drives at the end, and it definitely solidifies his legacy.
Yeah, you hit on it there. Well, I mean, I want to touch on the Bengals a little bit more because I basically covered the Rams' point of view, but I will say before I head into the Bengals, Stafford 3 game winning drives in a row, and in the biggest moments, and especially this one matters more to not just the Super Bowl, but like you alluded to it. I mean, we were down, besides Cooper Cup, we were down to the third string tight end, Hopkins, who made a couple nice plays, but a guy who hasn't taken many snaps or catches, during the regular season, and now he's playing in the biggest Super Bowl, biggest moment of his career, and it's a lot of pressure put on him. Van Jefferson, um, number 8, guys who who shouldn't probably should not be out there besides Cooper Cup. So kudos to him, and he had no run game the entire game. I think the running backs averaged 1.9 yards per carry. It almost looked painful, them running the ball every single time, and I know they kind of stick with it. That's their thing, but there was times, they had so many third and longs throughout the entire game, even when Beckham was still in there, like so many third and 8, third and 10s, third and 12s, third and 14. Just, you know, I I almost don't see how they won. It just because of how good their defense played. And honestly, like it was a huge blown opportunity for the Bengals. I'll hop into them now. Came out, played pretty well. I felt like their front did a lot better in the first half than they did in the second half. There was still pressure from the Rams, but obviously the Bengals were able to move the ball a couple obviously a one-handed great catch, great throw, just kind of one of those. It was good coverage, but just a perfect ball and just a great play by an excellent wide receiver in Jamar Chase. And something I thought the Bengals could have done more in the second half, especially. I feel like their Bengals run game worked pretty well. I think Mixon had like 15 carries for about 72 yards. And that's something what the Bengals actually struggle with in terms of rushing throughout the entire playoffs. And this seemed to be a game where they were actually ahead, and they probably should have done it more, to tack on points, which would have ended this game essentially at any point during the second half. And with what the Rams had injured, and all the momentum, the T Higgins play, it should not have counted, but guess what? It did. Like it happened. That's a huge momentum swinger. Like start first play out of the half, and you score a 75-yard touchdown. I mean, silence the crowds, takes the energy out from the Rams, which it did. And then what happens the very next play? You get an interception, and from there, I honestly thought it was over at that point. I'm like, okay, all the momentum's on the Bengals sides. They're up 7 right now, and then I'm not really sure how the Rams are going to score a touchdown. That was my whole thought process, and that stayed true to the most point. I mean, how many chances and granted, both defense played really well in the second half, but I felt like the Rams were on the field 5 or 6 times before they got that last drive, which they finally scored on. But they had so many 3-and-outs, and I guess for like it made sense. They couldn't run the ball, and Bengals did a good job in Cooper Cup, and there was really nobody else was stepping up at that point, honestly. So
Yeah,
you just feel like the Bengals probably should have won this game with everything that happened. I think the Rams were the better overall team, but from the second quarter on, I think the Bengals should have won, in my opinion. But then, as someone rooting for the Rams, I'm kind of happy. I'm happy. I'm not happy, but I was satisfied that Stafford won. And but I feel like as a Bengals fan, especially with how the defense played throughout the entire playoffs, stopping the run in this game, it just felt like if they had not even a good offensive line, just a decent offensive line, that they would have captured this game and won the Super Bowl.
yeah, a bunch of great points you made. The one guy for the Rams who I thought outside of Cup I would have went to a little bit more was Darrell Henderson. I thought he gave some good contributions in the passing game. He looked good. Um, you feel awful for Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, C.J. Uzama. I mean, what a great offense and year that they had. Surpassed all expectations and tough way to go down. You said, I mean, the run blocking held up well. I mean, they definitely schemed some things towards Donald, neutralized him, a good chunk of the ball game. I feel like especially early on when they had some success offensively. But the pass blocking late, as you expected, I mean, just they were not able to stop AD and Vaughn in those big moments. And one takeaway for me from all these games is, and just the season in general, I mean, these playoff games teach you you're never out of it. You can be down 10 to 14 points in the fourth quarter. You can be down 17 to 21 at the half. You're always in the game. The Rams defense, you said it, and starting with that interception that went off of Skoranic's hands. I mean, that's a game that should bury a team, and the Bengals should have capitalized with a touchdown there. The Rams defense, it's not always about the turnovers, the sacks, and all that, the big plays. It's just staying ahead on schedule, down distance, and getting off on third down, keeping teams to field goals. And, just the season in general, like the Rams did not win a game in November. It's such a long season. The Bengals, even, before their winning streak to end the season, I think they lost like 3 out of 4. It's the season and these games in general are so long, and you're truly just never out of it.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to win ugly, especially in the regular season. Like you're playing 17 weeks or 18 weeks now in the regular season. It's a long process. There's injuries. There's matchups that certain teams just don't match up well against. You could think that you're a better team, and obviously there's letdowns. I mean, there's a long season, there's people traveling all across the country, like stuff happens. But to your point, teams have to find ways to win. Obviously, find ways to improve each kind of every week, and then you need to kind of get hot at the right time, which both obviously the Rams and the Bengals did in the playoffs. And both these teams should be a lesson, like you said. Like the momentum plays are big, but and realistically, out of all of them that happened, the Bengals definitely had, I think, more of the biggest ones in this game. But they didn't score touchdowns, especially that interception after the second play in the second half. It's like you just scored 75-yard touchdown. You get the ball on I think the 30-yard line. You got to go in and score again, like a touchdown. Like you can't be hanging. Don't leave teams hanging. Is I think don't let teams have any kind of hope or stay in there because you're playing against the best of the best teams in the playoffs and now in the Super Bowl. Like if you give them a chance and you keep giving them chances, eventually they're gonna score, and that's what happened.
Absolutely. I mean, both of these coaches, I feel like, had great years with Sean McVay and Zach Taylor. Deserve a lot of credit. Was tough to see either one of these teams lose for me. I mean, I was going to be happy either way. Pumped for McVay and Stafford, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, and overall, I mean, just really capped off a great NFL season once again.
What do you think? I've seen a lot of people complaining that P. Ryan was in on the 3rd and inches instead of Mixon, and he didn't get it. I mean, it's
That
interesting.
was
Like, I know P. Ryan's been pretty good this year in his role, but you're on the last drive. This is it. I don't know how you don't have in your number one running back. I mean,
oh,
I don't know if Mixon gets it, but I have to think that he would have fallen forward for half a yard.
no, I'm with you all the way. I said it live when it happened. I really couldn't believe he wasn't in a situation like that. And you said it, P. Ryan, and even Evans. I mean, on passing downs, whether it was blocking and receiving, gave some good contributions. But just with the game on the line, I think in that situation you do have to change things up there and have Mixon in the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then maybe we're talking differently today because obviously they got the first down. Most likely got a field goal at that point because they were pretty close to midfield. But you know what? Another incredible game. I will say the Bengals, I think, will invest a lot in their offensive line this offseason because, I got scared Burrow got hurt again yesterday when he got hit low. And it seemed like he was like screaming in pain on his knee again. So, and, someone mentioned it today. I think everyone's kind of mentioning it. People mention it all season, but sacked 51 times in the regular season and 19 times in these playoff games when you're playing the best of the best games. So that's just not sustainable, especially after a very serious injury. And they can't have him be like another Andrew Luck case. Like obviously the Bengals made a Super Bowl, but getting your quarterback hit like that back to back seasons, they gotta take drastic measures to improve.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow is their franchise. They're going to have to, obviously after they franchise tag Jesse Bates, if no long-term contract extension is agreed to, they'll have the cap space to sign 2 starters, and their first round pick should probably be another offensive lineman as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm doing everything I can because the Bengals have, I think, the 4th or 3rd most cap space, and I'm heavily prioritizing uh, offensive linemen, which they should, I think, which they will. I think that's what's happening. And just to kick it off, just to end it here, I guess with the Rams, like, what do you think the off? I mean, obviously they won the Super Bowl, so like they're happy either way. But I think kind of weird off season for them, speaking because there's been some like weird speculation about retirement. I don't think it's going to happen, but with Sean McVay, the Aaron Donald news was kind of a little bit surprising before the game started, where even we didn't even the thought of him retiring like just kind of creeped into his mind, I guess. I don't think he'll retire personally, but I guess you just never know. I mean, he doesn't really have much left to accomplish or prove. I mean, 8 years in the league, 8 Pro Bowls, but more importantly, 7 first-team All-Pros. So just ridiculous. Literally top 3 defensive player of all time, the best defense tackle of all time. But yeah, besides him, I think Eric Weddle's obviously going to retire again. I'd say Whitworth probably hangs it up at this point. He probably he's 40, won a Super Bowl now, and he doesn't have much left to prove. Sucks about Beckham, obviously. Since he's joined the Rams, he's been phenomenal. And I'll say this, something we didn't mention even tonight. Beckham is not the only reason they're there, but they're not in the Super Bowl without Beckham.
I would agree.
And we mentioned it during playoff like previews and we're taking like predictions. All these teams who have advanced in the playoffs all have like elite weapons, and it's not just one player. Like Cooper Kupp, as good Cooper Kupp probably did have the best individual wide receiver season I've ever seen, or we've all seen, like just crazy. And obviously topped it off with a Super Bowl MVP. But and granted, he was the one who actually got it done. But I don't know if they beat the Niners. I don't know if they beat the Bucks without Beckham, and just having that. I think you've seen the offense collapse without Beckham, without having a sustainable number two option. So he'll be curious. I think he's going to return to the Rams because like he obviously loves it there. It just a another same knee as well. Just not a good, not really, never a good thing, but just unfortunate. And then Von Miller, I think he's probably leaving at this point. Obviously if they could, they would love to re-sign him, but I think he obviously was traded there to get to the Super Bowl and win it, and they did that. I think he'll probably cash out somewhere else.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I guess it's fair to expect that McVay and Donald will both be back. I guess you can't be shocked either way with the speculation, but I think that they will run it back one more year. You said it. I mean, Aaron Donald is probably like one of the best football players we've ever seen. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous what he's able to do. And another player now who solidified his legacy. He's got nothing else to prove. Um, it's interesting with Odell's injury now, like the timetable for his return. Obviously, he's slated to be a free agent, like, and how that factors in with Robert Woods coming back from his injury. Like, and you also said it, Whitworth had a great career, and if he retires, I guess they would free up some cap space there to maybe keep Beckham or Vaughn, which is an interesting point. But nonetheless, I mean, look, they'll probably extend Stafford. You have Cup, you have Ramsey, Leonard Floyd. It's a team that should, and under Sean McVay's leadership, should continue to win football games next year.
Yeah, they probably have a. I mean, I don't think we'll get a rematch, obviously, because that's not the way Super Bowls usually go. And it wouldn't. I don't. I actually don't think both teams. I mean, listen. Let's get to the offseason first. I'm not going to say. I'd say there's a probably 95% chance. Obviously, it's not a rematch, and then it's even hard just to even get back to the Super Bowl, as we know, just looking at the last couple of years. So that's why when you get here, it's important to win. I know people are saying like the Bengals are very young. Like the core, you mentioned, like they have a nice window, but as we know, it's a team game. You got to stay healthy. You just never know from year to year. And when you get the opportunity, like you did, you want to come here and win it because there's certain teams where you think that you have multiple years, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do. Like the Rams did, they proved that they kept on adding and adding. Obviously, they changed up their team a little bit got rid of Golf and made some bold decisions, and it paid off for them. I also think like the Bengals are another case study just of how to improve a team, and it's not always identical. You can't like obviously there's blueprints for different teams, and I think there's certainly drafting is a big part of it, but I think free agency is also not that you can't build your core through free agency, but if you have like a nucleus already, you do need to be adding to it because every team is getting better every year. And like I said, when these opportunities present itself, you want to win it when you're hot and when you got everyone healthy, and it's very year to year, as everyone knows. So
Absolutely. I mean, I think the Bengals are here to stay. I mean, whether they make it to the Super Bowl next year or not, it's like you said, it's so premature at this point, but you feel good just about a lot of the decisions that they've made between free agency and the drafts. You look at obviously Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson, Chidobe Awuzie, Mike Hilton. I mean, they've done Von Bell. They've been very savvy with a lot of their moves, and if they can DJ Reader as well, if they can continue to add to that with the cap space that they have, they should remain a contender. I mean, Joe Burrow is a superstar, and if they can improve that offensive line, you said it, they are a young team.
Oh yeah, and I'm absolutely pumped up just for the offseason. And now obviously it's official. Got the draft order set. Obviously, just going forward, we're gonna release our mock draft in the next couple of days. Our 2.0. Obviously, things have changed over the last month with the Senior Bowl, and now we got free agency. I think exactly a month from today, so we're getting closer and closer. Unfortunately, no football for 6 months, but we got a fun off season ahead of us.
Absolutely a fun off season, and on the mock draft 2.0, I've been scouting some players myself lately: Kayvon Thibodeau, Derek Stingley, Jameson Williams. So I'll have some early reports on those players as well. Got a lot of work done with the scouting lately, so we'll have that with the mock draft and tons of off-season content. You said free agency's a month away. we'll have some Jets content coming on the way as well. So stay tuned.